So we have a couple of questions regarding the E3 and TN visas. Could you throw some light on what E3 visa is and who are eligible for E3 visa? And what is a TN visa and who are all eligible for TN visa?
So E3s and TNs are good substitutes for H1, especially when the cap is over. But unfortunately, you have to be a national of a certain country to be eligible for either of them. So for the T, you have to be TN, you have to be a national of Mexico or Canada. And for the E3, you have to be a national of Australia. So you don't have to be born in those countries, but you have to be an Australian citizen or a Mexican citizen or a Canadian citizen.
Hold the passport of the country, right?
Correct. Yes, correct. Then you qualify for those visas. In the TN visa situation, there is a list of NAFTA basically has provided a list of occupations that qualify for TN. So as long as you're within those occupations, and they've also, along with the occupations, given who qualifies, like what degree you need to have, what education you need to have in order to work in this profession. So as long as you, number one, are working in that profession, have a job offer in that profession, or number two, you also have a qualification based on the list that they have given, you qualify for the TN. So it's different from a H1. You don't have to show that you have a bachelor's degree, or it really depends on, for example, in the IT professions, there's an engineer position, and it says you have to have a bachelor's in engineering. It doesn't say necessarily computer science. So it's a little bit different from the H1, the nuances that they have with reference to specialty occupation. The problem with TN is there is a limited intent to dual intent problem. On a H1, you can, have a green card application pending and be on a H1 at the same time, and there's no issue. With a TN, there can be an issue with reference to intent if you have, say, a green card pending, either family-based or employment-based. So when you apply for it, when you're outside the country and you're trying to come back in, get an extension, then it's possible that you have a green card pending that they may not give you the TN, unless you're able to show that there is no intent. So that's kind of hard. So for the E3, this is again for Australian nationals, Australian citizens, and they pretty much follow the same rules as specialty occupation. So basically, if it's a specialty occupation for a H1, you qualify for the E3 as well, and it's the same rules as to which job qualifies for a specialty occupation and which doesn't. So pretty much that's an E3 that can be again granted outside the country. You don't have to apply, unlike a H1 where you have to file and get an approval at USCIS and then go to the consulate. Both the TN and the E3, you can apply directly at the consulate. You don't have to fill out any forms with USCIS here. You can directly go to the consulate, apply, and get the E3 and come into the country.
Yeah. Sorry, Prashanti, sorry to interrupt you. We have a caller, Dhananjay Reddy. Let's take the call and then we'll continue. Hi, Dhananjay Reddy. Welcome to the show. You're on the air and you can ask your question.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Actually, I want to talk to, Prashant Reddy about, spouse visa. Actually, my son got married last year, February in India, and we applied for spouse visa for my daughter-in-law, I-130, and which was approved in June last year. And then, she attended interview at Mumbai, this year, February, and she got issued with 221G, and they wanted some additional documentation, which we submitted all the information, and we did not get any update after that. And now it is more than 1.5 years, and we really don't know what to do. What is the best way to move it on quickly?
So I think the problem here is the COVID. Otherwise, you would have gotten something. I think it's COVID related. Number one, the consulates are closed, so they're not processing any cases, so that is causing heavy delays. They can't call for interviews, they can't, there's very skeleton staff in India. Number two is also the fact that they cannot issue you the immigrant visa now because of the presidential proclamation. The first presidential proclamation, if you recall, basically was for family-based petitions, and it said that if you have not yet received an approval or an immigrant visa approval, then you fall under the proclamation, and as a result of which, you have to wait until December 31st in order to, for any visa to be granted. So you've been hit in two ways. One, the consulates are closed, so processing is not taking place, and second is, even if they open up, the visa cannot be granted, the immigrant visa, unless the proclamation is removed, or it dies its natural death, or something happens with the court. There are a lot of court cases, by the way, against even that. AILA has filed a lawsuit against that family-based proclamation. So if some good news comes with reference to the lawsuit, then maybe you can request for an emergency. You don't even need an interview, because the interview was already done. So if they are still taking a long time, the other option is, if the proclamation is not in place, file a mandamus petition, which I was talking about earlier. This applies even to consulate cases. So you can, since DHS, or Department of State, is a government organization, you can file a lawsuit against DHS asking them to process the visa quickly. In the interim, I suggest that you wait until something happens with the proclamation, because nothing else can be done for now.
Yeah, Dhananjay, hope you got the